Okay, now we're indoors. I want to show you my PVC pipe setup. I don't know if you can see that, but just got myself a 3-inch PVC pipe, put an end cap on it, and then I had it cut long enough where I could stick the barrel down. So when I start my electrolysis process, I'm going to take the barrel, I'm going to push it down. Of course, this is just all pre-set up. I'm just showing you the procedure that I'm going to be doing. And it's going to rest in the pipe like that, and then I'll have my battery connector connected to here, and I'll have my other positive connector connected to a rod going down this way. So that's what I'm going to do for my electrolysis. This way it saves water. You don't have a long flat piece. You just can concentrate on the metal itself, to the rifle barrel. I've got all my other pieces over here: butt plate, trigger guard assembly, nipple protector, trigger, the additional piece to the rifle barrel band, and this. So the next step, what I'm going to do before I put it in here, I'm going to have to find a place on this barrel where I'm going to make good contact, and I think I'm going to start right around here for the lock plate. It's starting to chip there a little bit, so I'm going to take a wire brush to it to see if I can get to the bare metal. And when I get to the bare metal, that's going to be my good connector for my posts, so it makes a good connection to the bare metal itself. Alright, so this is my Delta bench grinder. I've got a wire brush wheel here and a grinder over here. What I want to do is I want to just grind a little bit of that rust off with the brush, not the grinder, just with the brush, so I can get to the bare metal. It's important to do this because you want to make positive contact with that battery charger post. So you got to have some bare metal that you can put that post together. The wire brush is not doing that much damage. It's taking away some of the rust that normally would come off anyway, and getting down to the bare metal of the rifle itself. We'll see if that's good enough. I know the light's pretty bad, but you can see the shiny metal showing through here. That's what I want to make the connection to. So the battery post will actually connect, the negative battery clamp will clamp to this point right here, and since the lock plate is engaged and solidified with the barrel itself, that should make a good contact point for the rest of the barrel to start electrolysizing. Now for my electrolysis solution, I bought this brand new container full of sodium hydroxide. This is actually lye, another name for it. So I'm going to go ahead and use this for my electrolysis bath. Now you can also use a substitute of other materials, like I have found baking soda and some type of dishwasher detergent, which I've used in the past. So I've used in the past Cascade and baking soda, and it's also given me the good type of solution, which does make a current positive in the water solution. So I'm going back to the sodium hydroxide because to me it seems like it does a better job of the electrolysis process. So I'm going to go back with this. I'm going to fill up that container with water about 3/4 full, put some of the sodium hydroxide in it, and then I'm going to mix it a little bit to make sure it's nice and I guess stirred up pretty good, and then I'll add water to it once I put the barrel down, so I don't overflow, but till I get to the point where I'm about 1 or 2 inches from the top. Okay, so what I've done is I've added the water to the level about right here in this tube. I've added sodium hydroxide into it as well. And I was just looking around the shop. I found this old piece of molding which still has some nails coming through it, so I'm not going to be using it anytime soon, but I'm just going to use this to stir up the solution a little bit. It goes all the way down to the bottom.
Dad, can you please turn on a fire? It's freezing. Like, soon.
Yeah, I'll get it done soon. Sorry about that. My daughter wanted me to put a fire on inside the house. So, okay. Have you noticed I'm not wearing gloves on my hands? Well, that's not the best thing to do, but I'm trying to be real careful in this process right now so I don't have to put my gloves on. If I got any on my hands, I would immediately go and wash it off, because that stuff can really, it's very caustic and it can really damage your skin. Anyway, I usually wear goggles. Once the process begins, I wear goggles and I wear gloves. But I'm not having them on right now because I'm just setting it up. Here's a rod I chose, which is going to be the conductor of the rust coming off the rifle barrel. It's just an old piece that goes into the door, one of those connecting pieces that makes the door, you know, takes out the warpage on the door itself. It's just had it laying around. It's been around for a couple of years, so I'm going to go use this. What I try to do is find scrap metal that I'm not using, and I've got plenty of scrap metal in this garage because it's such a mess. But scrap metal, when you go out digging, you might dig a spoon or something like that, something that's stainless. That's what you want to use for this electrolysis process. I don't know what type of metal this is, but we'll use it as an experiment. I sometimes use large nails, you know, the stake nails, which are this big, and that works good too when you're working with a small project. But this is a big project because it is a rifle barrel, so we'll see if this works. We'll get that set up and videotape that. Okay, now comes the time of dropping the barrel. Whoops. One thing before, I forgot to put the wax coating. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, in this next step, and the reason why I have this candle glowing right here is I'm getting the wax from the candle, and I'm going to be putting it on this brass end piece here, the nose cap for the Enfield rifle. This might take a little bit of time, but what I'm doing here by putting the wax on it is I'm going to prevent the solution from taking away the patina on the brass. So it's going to take me some time, but once I'm done here, this whole thing will be coated with wax, and the brass will be protected from the solution and electrolysis, and it'll maintain its dug state of this brownish brass patina, as opposed to it being completely brassy and clean. So it's going to take me a while, but that's the process that I'm doing right now to get that on. There, that process is done. And then what I want to do is I want that to harden. I want to put it on pretty liberally. It's okay if I get it on some of the iron, because I can always take a small wire brush and get the residual off the iron, clean off the iron. But I just want to make sure that I have all the brass protected here. So we'll let that dry or harden, and maybe for about 30 minutes, and then we'll stick it in the bath. By the way, this is my wife's candle, and I did let her know what I was doing. Hope she doesn't mind. Well, that should just, I think it should just even out. There shouldn't be any problem with that. But it smells really good. So it's a scented candle. But anyhow, you could try this process on any type of exposed brass pieces that you want to have a mixture of. You know, sometimes you have artillery shells like Confederate reed shells that have the brass base. You can put this on a brass base and it'll also protect it like that. I haven't tried it on lead. Might be difficult to remove, but we'll see. And when it comes, when the electrolysis is done, it's like a cocoon. You can just pull it right off. You'll see that at the end of the process. Okay, now it's when everything should come into play here. So I've got the wax, it's hardened. It's ready to go. So I'll pop the barrel in. The water is rising, 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 rising. Rising too much. Oh, bummer. I'm going to take this out and dump some of it out. Yeah, got too much in there. Now it's about 12 inches from the top. All right, good. It's resting right on the lock plate hammer. Right there. It's bubbling. Not like it's supposed to be, but it is bubbling. And that's just from the material entering the water. All right. So now at this process, I'm going to take the battery charger, I'm going to take the positive connector, and we're going to connect this to the side of the PVC, just like so. So make sure that it doesn't touch. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the battery charger. At this point, okay, that's plugged in. Now I'm going to take the negative connector, and hopefully I should see a little spark. I didn't, so let me just look in the water, see if it's bubbling. Again, you want to make sure you have good connection on bare metal, otherwise this whole process will not work. See a little bubbling, but I don't think it's really strong. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to let it soak for about 20-25 minutes in the way it is right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean off these brackets just to make sure that the connection is not because of the brackets itself, and I'll come back a little bit and see if it's just the bubbling by putting it in the solution or if it's actually the electrolysis happening. Okay, here's the nose cap. As you can see, the wax is still on it, so it's still protecting the brass. There's a little area here that's exposed, but that's okay. The barrel band is starting to be detached, and see, here's where the rust is starting to be removed very easily from the barrel itself. And see, this is no longer solidified to the rifle barrel. It now moves freely, and we could just remove the rust from it. Now the rest of the barrel, as you can see, the rust just comes right off. Still some pieces that are pretty hard, but what we're exposing is a barrel band that's, or the barrel itself, that's pretty well pitted across. And especially where there's a lot of this rust, that's where you're going to find your biggest pitting. Now, I had it in a solution for the better parts of about 48 to 52 hours, and this is the result of the rifle after that exposure. Move along. Okay. So this is all the rust here that's now falling off the barrel. Top part hasn't hit the electrolysis bath yet. That's going to be next.